All right, I'd like to call to order the North Canton Charter Advisory Board meeting of April 11th, 2022 at 5 p.m. Member Young is here. Member Feltz is absent. Or no, Member Fettman is absent. Member Feltz? Here. Member Hostetler?
Here.
Member Bogman?
Here.
Member Grandjean is absent. Member Albeck?
Here.
5 present. All right, do we have a motion to approve the minutes for March 14th, 2022 as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, before we dive in this evening, are there any of our esteemed guests who would like to take the opportunity to address us about any item on the agenda this evening? All right, seeing none, move on to number 4A, Resolution 2022-01, a resolution recommending the adoption of amendments to Charter Sections 2.01 and 3.01 in order to alter the terms of elected officials of the City of North Canton and thereby establish 4-year alternating terms beginning on January 1st. This, as everything we'll talk about tonight, are things that we have previously approved to have drafted. I'd like the record to reflect that Member Fettman has arrived at 5:02. So, we've talked about this. I personally think that 4-year staggered terms will provide stability not just for the elected offices, but also for the appointed offices, that there's sort of less of that fear that every 2 years you might not have a job anymore. And then moving the start of the terms to January 1st would just match our fiscal year and the calendar year and everybody else around us. So if nobody has any objections, I will move that we adopt Resolution 22-01. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, number 2, Resolution 2022-02, a resolution recommending the adoption of amendments to Charter Section 2.04 in order to simplify the notice requirements imposed on the Clerk of Council for special meetings of City Council. This one, as we talked about, is changing it so that I don't have to hand deliver notice of special meetings anymore, but it also makes it more stringent that I always have to give notice, as opposed to previously there were some exceptions where I wouldn't have to give notice. Questions, comments, concerns?
This is a good change.
All right, then I will move that we adopt Resolution 22-02.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, number 3, Resolution 2022-03, a resolution recommending the adoption of amendments to Charter Sections 2.05 and 3.01 in order to clarify the legislative process of the City of North Canton and establish distinct differences between ordinances and resolutions. This resolution also incorporates the changing of the number of readings, so resolutions would be down to 1 reading and ordinances would be down to 2 readings. Questions, comments, concerns?
Will this define the difference between the two?
Yes, so the proposed amendments as written actually separates ordinances and resolutions into their own subsections, essentially. And then there's a alphanumeric designated list of what each type of legislation may be used for.
Ben, I had a note that we had tabled one piece of it about publishing on the website. Did you find that one?
That is the next
Paragraph 9.
resolution, and we did talk about that again on March 14th.
Right, so what was the final that we put in?
So the final legal told us was that caveat that, yes, we can stop publishing the newspaper, but we have to send the first-class mail notice if it affects a specific person.
Okay.
And that's the next thing that will be coming up here. So for Resolution 3, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, resolution number 2022-04. There is a correction in this title that I apologize I didn't notice until this morning. You can see it on your screen highlighted yellow. So the correct title should read, "A resolution recommending the adoption of amendments to Charter Section 2.05 in order to eliminate the requirement that legislation be published in a newspaper, not charter amendments." So this is what Gina just brought up. We had talked about not publishing in a newspaper anymore because it's very expensive. And previously we had tabled and then brought back because we asked our legal counsel to clarify, can we do this and what would we have to do instead? So the new proposal would be on the website, on the bulletin boards, and if it directly affects a specific person or property, we have to send them a letter saying, hey, we did this to you. So the best example would be a zoning amendment.
What about the public hearing notice? Or is that part of the legislation?
So public hearing notices, like for zoning amendments, are actually dictated by the zoning code, not by the charter. And those would still be, council actually just approved amendments for those, and those are still 200 feet from the property line. All the surrounding neighbors get a public notice letter. So like tonight we have a public hearing and I sent out letters to a grand total of 33 properties, not just the property that the zoning change would affect.
Okay.
All right, I will move that we adopt this resolution with the correction. Or second for Member Fettman, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. 4E, Resolution 2022-05, a resolution recommending the adoption of amendments to Charter Sections 3.01 and 3.05 in order to remove the budget deadlines of May 5th for revenue and June 15th for expenses.
I will make that motion. I'd second it if I could second it too.
I'll second it.
All right, motion and a second is all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. All right. 4F, Resolution 2022-06, a resolution recommending the adoption of an amendment to Charter Section 5.06 to change the standard for potential removal of elected officials from office from 3 consecutive meetings to 5 in a calendar year. Again, this standard was based off of council generally meets about 50 times a year, so that's roughly 10% of the meetings in a year. Questions, comments, concerns? Is there a motion? Is there a second? All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. 4G, Resolution 2022-07, a resolution recommending the adoption of an amendment to Charter Section 6.04 to allow council to call charter review commissions more frequently than every 10 years. So the minimum standard would still be every 10 years ending in 7, but council could now call full reviews in between those 10-year spans if they wanted to or needed to. Questions, comments, concerns? All right, is there a motion to approve? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And lastly, 4H, Resolution 2022-08, a resolution recommending the adoption of amendments to Charter Section 5.07 in order to specify that the residents of the City of North Canton may exercise any power of the Charter through an elective petition. So this is one that we had put off at the end of last meeting to come back to us. Personally, over the course of last month, I have attempted to explain this to numerous people outside of this board, and it has proven difficult, and it has brought me to the point where I personally would say that the odds of it happening again and the difficulty in attempting to explain it to the public to vote on this is not worth pursuing the amendment that we just let it go.
I agree.
That's where I'm standing on it.
I feel like the people have a process, the way that it is set up. They do have a process.
Yes.
So I don't know what this, I know I've had you explain it to me 14 times. I've even had Kevin explain it to me.
Well, it was trying to fix an incident that happened.
Right.
It was, I think, to fix something that happened in the past that, like Ben says, never going to happen again.
Correct. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So revisit it if it happens again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say revisit it and have it again and put it on a full charter review instead of us here.
Okay.
I will move that we defeat resolution 2022-08.
Wouldn't,
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
I thought it would just die for a second. But okay.
All right. So that is everything that was submitted to us. If anybody has anything else, we can meet again next month. But if not, I will take the resolutions we've approved today and give them to council at the first meeting of their May calendar. They may or may not send something back to us for us to look at in June. But June would be, if we do have to meet in June, it would be our absolute last meeting, because by the ordinance that created this body, we cease to exist on July 1st.
So can I, and just from my understanding, so this is just our advisement to council, and so then council will be, so really, some of this may or may not still end up making it into the charter, is that correct? Is that my understanding?
Yes, so now it'll go to city council, and then they will decide what, if any, to put on the ballot,
Okay,
and then ultimately the residents of the city will decide if any make it into the charter or not.
okay.
Each one is voted on separately on the ballot.
So what happens after council discusses it and decides which they want to do? What happens
Well,
if
we don't have a
council,
speaker.
is this on?
There's no speaker for the microphone, so
Oh,
we're just,
okay. What happens after council decides what moves forward and what doesn't?
so council will pass resolutions to put them on the ballot. I will have to file those resolutions with the Board of Elections. We, the city, have to publish in the newspaper that we put this on the ballot. The Board of Elections has to publish in the newspaper that these will be on the ballot. By state law, the full text of the amendments, not just the ballot language, has to be publicly available during business hours in my office for anybody to come walk up and say, I'd like to read the amendments, for the full duration of the time between when council puts it on till election day.
And it would be a November election.
Yes, so that'd be the November general election.
Okay.
And council cannot pass these on emergency, so we'll give it to them in May. It'll take at least until the end of June for them to pass them, if they pass it.
And then, whatever, these would all go into effect, I'm assuming then, what, the 1st of January 2023, is that the?
As soon as the election's certified, the Board of Elections would certify to me whatever did or did not pass. I then have to make a new draft of our charter and file that with the Secretary of State's office. As soon as that's filed, they're technically in effect.
Got it.
So you're saying they could send something back to us to review?
They could choose to do that if they want to, yeah. If they have some other idea that we didn't talk about that they want to throw at us. Okay. Then if there's nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much, everyone. We're done unless they call us back. Thank you very much.